I was gonna say, I feel like this is a good first step back, and like we said, we're gonna try and make this a streak. We'll try and do it on a day where we're all a little more lively instead of a Friday evening when everybody's pretty much ready to pack it in. But we wanted to do it. It was a good reason to start after Andy finished up comps and all of those exams to get on to dissertation. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm excited to get going again. Welcome back to this episode of Barbells and Bourbon. We took a small hiatus again, as you heard in the intro, but we're only 11 months this time, not several years. So trending in the right direction. Good for us, but we're going to use this one again as a jump off point of just kind of giving updates on everybody's life. A lot of things been happening for everyone.
2.0.
What's that?
Reboot 2.0.
Exactly, or three at this point. I'm honestly not even sure. Yeah, I still remember one of the first ones we did. Kelly was gone. I was living in Alaska, and we were sitting around the island.
Yeah.
The kitchen was one of the first ones that we did, however long ago that was. Now,
I was still a master's student, so that was like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's been a minute.
This has been the longest running podcast episode with the fewest, or podcast with the fewest episodes that I'm aware of, which is interesting. But
all you're saying is we're efficient.
So that's one word. That is one word for it. But we'll start off as we normally do, and I say that loosely in the 5 or so episodes that we've done. So normal is kind of, again, relative of what we're drinking, what we rate it, and then we'll just go around and do a little updates. And then we were just gonna get chatting again, which I think we did on the last episode, but we'll do it one more time, just kind of what everybody's doing for training, especially after Andy finishes up, just kind of what his plan, or kind of goes over what's been going on with him, what kind of his plans are, and go from there. So, Andy, why don't you kick us off?
So what I'm drinking, if I doubt he'll ever see it, but courtesy of my boy Luke Suhan from Point, he gave me a bottle of Door County small batch test run from, it doesn't say a year, but 2,000 bottles made. The barrel was a used maple syrup barrel, and it's delicious. I give it 4.5 out of 5 glasses. I've never actually, fun fact, had Door County bourbon.
Ooh.
I bought a few bottles, but I usually give them as gifts. And now nobody ever is going to get a bottle of Door County bourbon from me again.
I used to, so Coach A, offensive line coach, or was offensive line coach, now just kind of does everything for UWL football, would always go up to Door County. I had him buy me a couple bottles of like a single malt whiskey that was very good. Still have a part of a bottle hanging out in my basement.
I'm relatively certain that's actually what we drank on the first episode.
It probably was, and that's probably the same bottle. So yes, I'm very much like, I do my daily drinkers and I save all those for the good times getting together. But yep, that was a good one. AJ.
I actually think I'm drinking the same thing I was drinking the last time we did this too. Bent Paddle, their IPA, because I was just up in Duluth a little bit, so I grabbed some while I was up there. But drinking it in my Minnesota Vikings koozie, got the blur on. After they tried very hard to give that game away today and managed to pull it out, I guess, against the Bears, if you can call that a win. So.
And then, as I was telling them, we just had a Total Wine open up in the big city of Rochester. So I was walking through, I was buying gifts for Christmas for people, just use up some other thing. Yeah, when we get together, but then found this Wolcott by Barton. It was a $30 bottle. Solid. Four glasses out of 5. Pretty good for $30.
Found that today, huh?
Yeah, I actually yesterday. So got
5 minutes into the episode.
We settle down at the end of the night. We got to bring her back in at the end of the night with the little ones running around. So, my daily drinkers, which I buy in the 175s, probably don't last nearly as long as they should. So we're trying to trim that down a little bit. But
are you on the Doc Uncle special, the Old Forester?
No, we go with. God, I was doing Jim Beam for quite a while, and then switched up. Tried some Evan Williams, which, fun fact, I overheard this. What's that?
It's basically the same thing.
I was talking or overheard. I wasn't talking to this guy at Total Wine, just random bourbon story. But this older guy was looking at some Jack Daniels, and this other guy was like, "Nope, you should get this Evan Williams because they had it. You could buy a handle for $15. They had a special. I think it's regularly like 19, so it's not expensive stuff." And he goes, "This is one of my top 10 whiskeys that I drank." He goes, "I had over 600 of them. I would put this in the top 10," which I found really hard to believe that it was the top 10. Not that I'm overly picky because I'm happy to drink it, but I thought that was a little bit of a stretch with the Evan Williams. Again,
well, that distillery also makes Elijah Craig and Larceny.
Haven't had Larceny. Elijah Craig is very good. I will agree with you there. And I remember you kind of turning.
Yeah. That's enough. I took out at your place.
So, well, anyway, if we want to swing into updates, then Andy, I think you probably got most of it. So we'll kick it up to you.
Well, run through a little bit. I won't be super explicit, given the year I've had. I'll start with the not so great stuff. But I think it's important to kind of chat about your problems, and especially really, really hard stuff to talk about. I think even if it reaches one person, could be super nice. So my year started off fine, but February, unfortunately, I watched one of my best friends get shot in the back and murdered. Yeah, that happened. After that, I lost a few people. My stepbrother unalived himself, we'll say. Kid who was like my little brother got some bad drugs and overdosed. Just a lot of bad stuff. Luckily, I have you guys, I have Doc, and I have a great support system here. And actually, Doc was the one that kind of helped pull me out of a real bad spiral. Since then, I'm not embarrassed to say I've been taking antidepressants that have helped immensely. They really changed my life in a good way. And through that, I defended my PhD November 14th, so 10 days ago. So not officially a doctor, but basically there. I just have to deposit my dissertation. Easy, given I passed with no revisions, which I've never heard of. Right now, I just talked to my boss. He prefers if I don't mention a name, but I took a job with a big pharmaceutical company doing data science work, fully remote, and it's really fun. I'm doing a lot of things that I never get exposed to, being challenged in ways that just being a lab type researcher doesn't challenge you. I'm having to learn how to code in SQL, having to learn CML, and then work with data sets that are far outside anything I've ever seen. And it's really fun. Super cool. It pays well. And I work with one of my best friends. Our team is super talented, full of a lot of really, really, really talented and young computer scientists and coders, and just a really interesting side step from what I've been doing. If I get renewed in December, I'll probably ride out my lease down here. If not, it's back to scrambling and figuring out what to do. But I kind of lived my academic life that way. If you guys remember, I kind of moved to Texas on like 10-day notice. Moved here for a summer on like 3-day notice. And then it's all worked out. So I have faith, getting kind of rebuilding, getting back on the right track. And I'll save the training stuff, I assume, for next round of question.
I'm curious, like, what does the data science stuff like look like? As much as obviously you can't launch too much stuff.
I talk about what I do. He just prefers I don't mention who I work for.
Yeah, it's such a big term, and like they're everywhere. Sports scientists, data scientists. Like, what does that look like in your role? Because it's becoming such a big profession.
So it's honestly pretty dynamic. Obviously, as science always is. But it's called the real world data team. So we work in medical claims. So if this company wants to be able to say something in an FDA application, they obviously have to have a pretty robust evidence base for it. And our team is kind of tasked with developing that scientific rigor and the basis for it. A lot of what I do specifically, so my boss, who's again one of my best friends, he also got his PhD in the lab I just defended in. He both knows how to code and obviously knows the physiology, given that's his PhD, whereas everyone else on the team only knows the coding aspect, but you can't code something you don't really have a direction for. And so I was brought on kind of to provide a backup when the boss is busy. So it's a little bit more autonomous. He doesn't have to worry about the team all the time because this is just one of the teams he works with. So basically what we've been working on, I'm developing methodology, the technical approach, and then practical approach for patient level meta-analysis, just a bunch of random physiology things. Now he's kind of challenging me to get more involved in the coding aspect. So this past week is the first time I actually got my hands on real data. Obviously, pharmaceutical companies want to protect their data as best they can. So I might have more as we get deeper in this few projects I'm involved in. But basically just using analytical techniques and knowledge about health and physiology to develop plans for medical claims.
Nice.
So is it more designing stuff prospectively, or is it more retrospective where you're going back and analyzing things?
It's a bit of both. So it's a mix of like what we did with that concussion data, the youth concussion data.
Yeah.
But it's interventional. So basically, obviously, it used to be super divided. Pharmaceutical companies and federally funded grants and stuff. And now, given the expansion of the internet, a lot of things have been digitized and combined. So people can access those data by data request. Specifically, our company, I think we have 19 studies going on, 19 clinical trials around the world, all around Europe, Asia, United States, like all around the world. And we're specifically, I'm working on a drug for a certain condition. I know this is broad, but I think 4 or 5 different large-scale clinical trials we're going to get the data for and run a patient-level meta-analysis for the efficacy of that drug.
And those are usually like in the thousands, right? Those kinds of trials of that nature.
Yeah. I think our first data set, I don't even remember, maybe 1,300.
Mm-hmm. Not too bad. Sounds like a good gig.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone deserves some credit, you always told me when I was an undergrad, Joe used to send you data to run stats on because you were better than he was at it. And so you'd get a lot more publications that way. And I guess that kind of stuck with me. Analytical techniques are important.
Yeah, that's a good skill to have, that's for sure.
And the funny thing is, now I kind of do that for you.
Yeah, definitely. You surpassed me on my knowledge abilities years ago. The student became the master real quick there.
I don't even think I ever became a student, so you guys both got me on that one.
What's your? I guess. Well, I'm going to force you to be next, Joel. You were doing your doctorate, right?
Yeah. still doing it. Past comprehensive exams, and then just kind of started figuring out putting together dissertation committee. Took a couple semesters off, and then that ran into issues because I had to reinstate and da da da. But then had a hard time finding a chair. Finally found a guy, but then had to take the time off. And then when I was getting ready to go again, literally just couldn't get a hold of him. Tried, stalked him on LinkedIn. I mean, tried everything. Couldn't get a hold of him. So just this past semester, started up again. Have a chair that email. What's that?
No, you were answering what I was going to ask.
Oh, yep, found a new one that actually emails me back. So hopefully, I got chapter 1 to her, and got to do some updates on some references. But then a former colleague of mine is my methodologist, and then our good friend and co-host AJ is going to be my reader. So that helped just putting that together. So I had overly excited ambitions of being done in the spring, which I don't think is going to happen. My goal will be to be done by the summer. It's going to be qualitative. So I feel like for me, once I get through just getting everything going, I have a feeling I'll be able to hammer stuff out a lot more. Just because it'll be semi-structured interviews, and then just going through that. And I've got enough downtime in my day that I can kind of hammer through that busy work, thankfully, to make that whole process go a little smoother. So
you're the only person who has multiple side projects, a full-time job, a wife and 2 kids, who says, I got plenty of downtime.
The way clinic set up, I get some extra freedom, which has been nice. So, but yeah, that's been going. Really just want to finish that up.
That's a PhD, right? Not an EDD.
Yep, that's a PhD in leadership and administration in athletics. I have no idea what I would actually use it for, but it was one of those, like, I was too far in to not finish it off. Maybe some teaching or adjunct stuff in the future. We'll see. I
think you'd make a good AD one day if you ever want to do that.
That was kind of the original start of it. Thinking I maybe wanted to do a D3 thing, but we'll see. I don't the hours that still that would require. Yeah. I just don't know that.
That's true.
And then even at the high school level, I feel like that stuff continues to get more and more out of hand. So, but yeah, at the end of June, I found a job in Rochester, so I'm working for a clinic, smaller hospital system in Rochester now. Still working in a sports med clinic, but then we'll still have some opportunity to do some tactical work. They had some things already started up, and
EZ was so shocked when I told her that. She must not have got that initial update. She was just like, "What? Why? When? Why didn't he tell me?"
It's just the commute. We're still going to be in it. We're still going to be. Yep, we'll still get her involved. So.
Are you're that's supplemental, or are you leaving Mayo?
No, I've been gone from Mayo to June. So here's an update.
You're right.
This is also just as much an update for me. I've been grinding on dissertation stuff and science. I haven't talked to these gentlemen aside from in passing. So
now I have a 15-minute drive across town instead of an hour and 5-minute across the state, which has been nice.
Yeah.
Which will also get into some of my training stuff. We'll cover that a little bit later. It's been extremely convenient in those regards. But yeah, we've had that this Clinically Press, our kind of parent overall company of this, has been doing pretty well. I think this past year, we were able to donate 17 cold tubs.
I saw that.
A bunch of them across Wisconsin by a grant or some funding that I'll shout them out because they gave it to us. Mayo Clinic Health System did. And then through some other means, we're able to get a few more across the country. And then we ran our inaugural Reps to Run 5K in October. Turnout was not awesome. The people that were there were amazing. They were great. Seems like the idea was good, but we had a lot of good community local support. So we were actually able to buy an AED that's now sitting at AJ's house, that we will basically let any local fun run or activity that wants it to have it for just that extra layer of safety, use it free of charge during their event, and then we'll just collect it back. So that it just adds another level of safety, and hope to have our first one here in early December. I got to finish up a few things, but we'll get it to them. So that's been exciting. We launched a CEU platform, partnered with a couple other athletic training podcasts, and we were just talking off air. Have almost 300 students enrolled in it, with over 1,000 courses taken. All of those have been, well, we've made $12 total because we turned.
That's 3 times what's in my bank account.
The goal was to have a lot of it be free, and that's how these podcasts had run.
Yeah.
And then moving some more over to paid. It's a non-reporting year for athletic trainers. So basically, if people keep up with the podcast and go in and do the quiz, they can get a lot of stuff for free. But we kept them pretty cheap as just another way to maybe generate some funds, knowing that it's going to a good place. So we'll see with the reporting year coming up in 25, if that doesn't give us another little income. And then
I think if anyone, I think my favorite thing about this group being you guys, Kyle, Erica, Doc, I think like the biggest quality that we all share is we're not going to give up and we're going to grind it out. And I mean, out of all of us, to be honest, Joel, I think you hold the crown of, you kept TAT alive, you kept Clinically Pressed alive, and the one thing you did with me, we let fail multiple times. But I have no doubt that you're going to make it work, and I love the.
It's just an excuse to get together and have a drink.
So get together once a year.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. We got to get consistent monthly, and then we'll have like at least annually, if not more, where it's just like everybody comes together.
You know what we should do is just get smarter, record this one, go change our shirts, come back, record another one, and that way we got like 2 or 3 in the hopper, even though we all did it the same night.
There you go. That's why AJ's a smart one.
Hopefully in 20 school, I think I actually think I kind of want to push this a little bit more. I like the idea. There's so many people. Actually, I mean, it's a tangent, but Nick Bird, my advisor, PhD advisor, and I were talking during COVID kind of about starting a podcast with prolific scientists, nothing about science, which is kind of what this is, and just kind of hearing their experience through the process of their career. And that's kind of what I pitched to one of our maybe future guests, who's prolific neuroscientist at Howard Hughes and University of Wisconsin-Madison, just to hear kind of how you made it through your career, built that while trying to maintain healthy lifestyle behaviors and also having a social life, all these aspects that kind of conflict with building a career, how you kind of do that. And I kind of feel like that's what we were getting at when we talked about starting this.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool to have some of our colleagues, because we have overlapping but very different networks. I think it'd be really cool to be able to share some of those really cool people's ideas and paths.
And I think the only other update kind of thing is in 2025, Andy, we're going to be coming to you, but we're going to give you a little break from the academic rigor. No, we'd love to, as another way through Clinically Pressed, is to maybe actually launch our own academic journal, but kind of flip the whole thing on its head, keep submission fees low, but utilize a good part of those submission fees to actually compensate reviewers for their time.
5,000%. I will work tirelessly to make that successful.
But we think there's a lot of low hanging fruit that could just kind of get cleaned up and kind of flip it on its head when, we were, again, talking off camera, just like the things that work really well and make life easy. Well, can we provide that to people? But then, if you can offer a reviewer $75 for an hour of their time, does that make it then all that much more worth it to them to contribute to it, while still keeping the fee down to make sure that a grad student who can't find $2,000 to get their study published might be able to find $350, $400 in a grant or something to be able to make that happen. or laying around in a budget. So we've kicked around a lot of ideas with it, but I'm hoping in 2025 we'll be able to really kind of settle down and get that up and going. So those are a couple of things like I'm really hoping we get up. That'll be our big goal, I think, for Clinically Press in 2020.
That's super. Like, have you ever read it? Not he has a political connotation, but I'm not talking political. Have you ever read any of Sam Harris?
I haven't read him. I've listened to him on multiple podcasts.
So he always says, like, if you can't afford the book or you can't afford this course, email me and I'll send it to you for free. If you can contribute, contribute. But if you can't, I want to make sure you have access to the knowledge.
Teaser to anybody that listens to this, we have thrown around the idea that if you're willing to be on the editorial board, so we just have a bunch of people, we'll still pay you, but we'll also potentially have heavily discounted, if not free, submission fees for your grad students to make sure that they can get their stuff out there to just help them go in their career. So
I don't think this is going to go against your plan at all. What I would envision is as soon as we can drop submission fees for students altogether. So we give opportunities to like the UWLs, the UMHBs, the GMUs, the smaller schools that aren't R1s that don't have $500,000 grants.
So yeah, it's kind of what I'm seeing. AJ.
And also a second child. I think did you have?
Yeah, he was born in 22.
Yeah, I was gonna say he would have been there for last year.
Yeah, they're
really make you lose track of time.
They're 2 and 4, and they are all of 2 and 4.
Never mind, AJ.
I really think I have a ton of updates.
Right? Oh no, she's 8.
Yeah, no, definitely no new kids on our radar. God, I think I'm still probably pretty much doing the same things I was doing last episode we did this. Coaching, I guess, a lot more. That's probably eating up more of my time nowadays.
And now being
that's all I see
into the wrestling world in probably a way that you never saw coming.
Yeah, that's true. I have completely just stumbled into that area of research, and it's taken off more than any other thing I've ever researched has done. It's kind of interesting. And I didn't even grow up around the sport of wrestling. That's what I feel stupid about. It's like I really don't even fully understand the scoring to this day. I gotta watch things on YouTube sometimes. Like, okay, how do they do that? And then again, definitely, flipping back and forth between the men's and women's because they have different scoring and different styles of wrestling altogether. So it's been a bit of a learning curve on that front, but
that's another potential guest we should get, Dave.
Yeah, he'd probably be up for it.
He forced me to take a selfie with him to send like his nephew.
Yeah, we got him and his assistant coach, Zach Cook, on. I'm sure that could be a whole kind of. And with that, just throw another one. Dr. Ward Dobbs, we got to get him into the mix.
I was just talking about him today, actually.
Yeah, I keep that guy way too busy for his own good over there at UWL. But he's got a new job, Andy. I don't know if you heard that he moved departments on campus.
Oh, I heard he was looking because I saw him on higher ed job boards.
So now he works in the PT school with Kernozik over with that group. So he literally just shuffled across campus.
I'll withhold comment, but I'm very happy for him.
Yeah.
Withhold very specific comment.
One of my former students is coming to apply for her on-site interview this week at UWL.
Who?
I don't know. We'll wait till I don't know.
We'll
not a UWL student from a different school. At Lindenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Jenna still?
Yeah. She's still there. She still teaches and then coaches.
Nice.
God, good weekend for UWL sports too. Man, football crushed it. Cross country won a title.
You know what's crazy? I got a random call. Do you guys remember Scott Rasmussen? He was SPC. Where is he from? He's from.
That name sounds really familiar. Was he a student?
Yeah, he was there when I was there.
Yeah, okay.
He ran with Bugsy, Wojcinski, and Nick Vigut. He randomly called me the other day, and we talked for like an hour. And I didn't realize Janice was the new coach after he who shall not be named lied to all of us, and how successful UWL football has been.
They've been doing great.
When I was there,
I'm so happy for that crew.
Mr. D, I don't want to. He was a nice guy. I don't want to talk shit about him, but when I was there, they were awful.
Yeah, they've been on a tear like the last 3 years.
That's what I looked at.
3 or 4. I mean, consistently in the top of the WIAC.
11-1. It's insane.
That was my biggest like I'm gonna miss this when I decided to take off from UWL to head out to Mayo is because Janice had been named head coach, and I just knew that was going to be such a fun coaching staff to work with because it was going to be easy in the realm of working with coaches and a lot of fun just because it's a good group of people and it's always fun to see them succeed.
We've thrown a lot of names around. A super cool guest would be my undergrad academic advisor. The big cuddly bear, Andrew.
Although we'd be asking him what type of tea he would be drinking this evening.
I miss that guy. He's still, the credit to him, he still sends me a Christmas card every year. Every year since I've been gone from lacrosse, he's reaching.
Sounds like him.
Yeah.
I guess good time to pivot to training plans.
Sounds good to me.
Who wants to start? I think AJ gets to start this time. I don't think you need to train. Obviously, you're jacked as hell. You got a lot of new tattoos. You're wearing a cutoff, and I can't help but think that was intentional.
I just got my PJs on, so I can go right to bed after this one. Well, I'll take a trip down memory lane. This summer, I flipped training up more than I'd ever done probably last decade when I trained for that track meet to do that throws championship in Chicago. Yeah. So I completely changed everything about how I've lifted, for, again, probably like a decade plus. I've always kind of lifted the same way. And so I went pure into the throwers world of strength conditioning and lifting styles. And that was a fun couple months to mix it up and just lift that way and do, like, luckily I have a park right down the street, so I could bring a lot of medicine balls, weighted sleds, and kettlebell type things down there and do a lot more just kind of athlete focused training that, again, I had not done a lot of at all.
Are you still in that same spot?
Mm-hmm. Yep. In that same neighborhood. So that was kind of what I did over the summer to shift and kind of prepare for that.
And also asked me if I wanted to compete, which was ridiculous.
I thought you'd jump in on it. I think you would have been really good at the ultra pentathlon. I think you would have crushed that one. Because
by falling down, passing out.
I mean, that 300-pound, whatever you call it, ultra weight, like I didn't even know if I'd get off the ground, let alone throw that thing forward. I don't even think you can call it a throw. I dropped it forward more than anything.
Being humble. I watched it. It was actually super impressive.
But it was cool because all those guys, a lot of them were really high-level throwers, but no one was prepared for that because you can't really practice with anything like that because that implement is so rare. And so everyone was kind of walking up like, well, here goes nothing. I've never done this. I've never lifted one like that. So a lot of people had to learn on the fly how to throw that beast. So it was pretty cool. But since that's over and now that school starts with the girls, I pretty much master my 20-30 minute workout styles nowadays. So I pretty much lift every day, but I only do 6 lifts top a session. Pretty much just superset everything and get as much done in half hour, whatever I can. And then I do a lot of stuff with the girls too, as much as I can. So I take them through little short workouts a couple days a week as well. Try to get them doing stuff in the garage gym.
I hope this isn't too personal, but one thing I've noticed over the past couple of years, I don't know how much you've brought up. I won't be super specific, but you had a lot of health issues and a lot of complications, meaning a lot of surgeries, meaning you had restrictions for exercise a lot. And one of the coolest things I've seen is how much you transition from just lifting to be jacked to involving your girls. Like I see all the time, Vanessa. It's honestly the best part of having Vanessa on Facebook is getting to see all the cool shit you do with your kids. I think, a model for a lot of people who don't involve themselves in their kids' sports. And
well, I just think like what an advantage too for them to have parents like us, or like even just a dad who knows how to lift and like train athletes. Like my dad was supportive, but didn't know the first thing about training athletes. And it's like, I definitely don't force it on them. I try to teach them like this stuff is really important. Even if you're just doing a couple things, a couple days a week, I guarantee you it'll go a long way, throughout the next 10 years of playing sports and stuff. And it's just like, what an advantage to have that at home.
We always used to talk about Kyle and Erica with their boys. And dude, you've got it too. And I assume, Joel, you'll have it when they're not 2 and 4.
Right.
But it's been a super cool transition from just trying to desperately get healthy to expansively involving the entire family in physical activity.
Yeah. And I've liked coaching a lot more than I thought I would. Used to we just do it because they need parent volunteers, but like basketball, I love coaching basketball. It is so fun. I could see
rewarding thing in the world.
Yeah, I could see getting hooked on this and doing it for a long time to come.
That's why there's still only one trophy on my shelf over here, and it's the second place women's national championship team I coached in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's sweet. That sport's blowing up around here a lot too. I see a lot more local powerlifting teams and clubs at the high school level than I had.
Oh, well, you're just noticing. I don't know if you knew, Holman had been a 50, 60 person team for a long time.
But their numbers are even going up from there, though. And like they're having a lot higher profile meets and stuff in the area, which is just cool to see that sport grow.
And as I stepped away completely, I have no idea what's going on in world powerlifting right now.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you much on that one either.
You were in it. Plans? So I had been trying to just piece things together, especially when I was commuting to La Crosse, just trying to get in mornings. And I would go, we belonged to a gym in Rochester that I would try and go at least one night a week. But kids always tended to get in the way because if I was going to get a workout, all of a sudden somebody would be up at 5 a.m. or 5:30. I also am. It's not my ideal time. So I would prefer to get up, make coffee, and putz on one of umpteen side projects or things, get social media stuff done for the week. So in my current role, the way they have it set up and the provider I work with is all the providers get an hour of, what do they call it? Basically an hour to cap off part of their days to catch up and do their dictations. So our provider uses 20 minutes at the end of the morning and 20 minutes at the start of the afternoon, and then 20 minutes at the end of the day. And he's ruthlessly efficient at getting his documentation done. So our clinic will end 11:15-ish, 11:20-ish, 11:30 at the absolute latest, and our first patient isn't again till 12:50. Well, in the building we're in, it's a sports med clinic, very small, one provider, and the 3 athletic trainers that work with them, but it's attached to, all in the same building, a full 10 to 12 rack gym with all the dumbbells and weights, plus a full-size basketball court behind it. And then they're big on hockey, so they have a room that's artificial ice and a skating treadmill. So and right in the same building, bathrooms and locker rooms. So I literally can walk 20 feet to the locker room, change, walk another 20 feet to the gym, work out, and do in repeat, all right there. So I've been getting back on the program that Andy had written for me after I ran my one and only half marathon and decided I never wanted to run ever again, and started doing some powerlifting stuff. I've done some modifications to this one. I don't do nearly the volume that he had prescribed. I'm in block 2 of it, starting up again. And there's a day where it's like back squats followed by front squats. And I just kind of bypass those front squats at this point.
It's your choice if you want to be good or not.
I mean, yeah. At 38, just trying to not die. And so I'll basically take the big 2 main lifts of each day. I mean, and you had only written for 4 or 5, and then just do some accessory stuff with that, try and keep it looking good. For that first round, I didn't do conventional deadlifts as much as I like them.
That was your favorite thing.
I know. I just kind of weighed the risk versus reward profile. So I did heavy RDLs, like super heavy RDLs. For the second block, I've might play around, and it's more so to try and work on some grip strength, doing like trap bar deadlift instead, but trying to really get after it with as little limited use of wraps as I can, just to keep working on that, just to change it up a little bit. But
I would say as long as you're not doing switch grip, if you have to do switch grip, straps are way better.
And that's what I had been doing, especially with the conventional, because I got away from the switch grip, but figure the trap bar just to do something a little bit different. It's something I haven't really ever done in my lifting, just see what that can do from there. But I think we were talking off air. I kind of worked my way through block one and squatted. I think it was, I didn't actually do the full like max out day, like meet style, just because I didn't have anybody there that I really trusted to be around me with it. But worked my way up, and I think I went 505 for a single and felt good doing it, which is the first time I've been up over 500 pounds for years now. But it was good. So it's been good to get back into that. And kind of some of the strength and conditioning guys in there kind of look at me. They're like, one guy thought I was not 38. He was impressed that I was doing what I was doing, being a little older than he was. So that's been good. But then having the basketball hoop there, it's been nice to get back into shooting around a little bit, getting something resembling some basketball skill back. So that's kind of where I'm at, and just kind of working through that training again, at least being able to get a couple good days a week of lifting in there. And we just kind of run it continuously instead of the 3 days a week. So if I don't hit the 3 days in a week, it just becomes day one of the next week, and we keep rolling. So it's been good in that regard.
I think that brings up like a super important point, especially like I said, you're the only person in the world that has multiple side projects, a very busy career, a wife and 2 kids who are young, and says you have a lot of free time. I think what's the quote? You don't let perfect be the enemy of
good.
Yeah, of good, whatever.
Yeah.
There's this idea that I think maybe it started with EIM, exercise is medicine, but like exercise snacks, so breaking up sedentary time.
Yep.
Dan Moore has some data actually in my field with muscle protein synthetic rates, where he compared 7.5 hours of just sitting to 7.5 hours where they were sitting, but every 30 minutes they'd walk at normal walking pace for 2 minutes, or they would do 15, basically stand up out of the chair and sit back down 15 times every 30 minutes. And what they demonstrated that over the course of that 7-hour period, muscle protein synthetic rates were higher when you broke up sedentary time. So a lot of people like, oh, I can't get a workout in. I've only got 20 minutes. It's like, just go for a walk. If you're going to eat lunch, then go for a 5-minute walk around campus. Go do something. Stand up, sit down. Don't be sedentary for 10 hours a day.
I just finished reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, and that was one of the things he talked about is even as people were like establishing habits, like part of it would be like, literally just going to drive to the gym. I'm going to walk into the gym. I'm not actually going to do anything. And I'm going to get back in my car. I'm going to drive home. Because now I at least committed to the gym. And they just slowly built it up. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do 5 minutes of stuff. And his point was, instead of just missing it because, I'm not going to be able to do the whole 60-minute workout, but I can get 20 minutes in. That 20 minutes in just reinforces that you're someone who works out and takes care of themselves. You've ingrained that habit in you. It may not be the perfect thing, but you ingrained it in you that you went and did it and got something accomplished. And I don't think mine, similar to AJ, mine are 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how clinic shakes out or patients start showing up early, still got to get lunch in, but we have random meetings and things like that. And if we get done at 11:15 and meetings at noon, I got half an hour to go get something done. So I'll run in there, get something done, and feel good about it, knowing that I can come back the next day and still do some more stuff. So
partially
Definitely.
sharing this for watchers, listeners, and then partially sharing it because I know you're going to want to put it in the show notes. This is the paper I was talking about. So basically,
send me a link.
Yeah. Can I put it in the chat?
Yes.
But for anyone who wants it, it's in Journal of Applied Physiology. Very good collaborator of ours, University of Toronto, Dan Moore. I won't blow him up too much because he'll make fun of me for being nice. So if anyone wants to check it out, there it is.
Yeah, I met him for the first time at ISSN.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He went down there
last year. It must have been probably 2 years ago now, I guess. But
no, I think it was last year.
He gave, I don't know if he gave the keynote. He gave a pretty big talk, and then I think that was his first time that he'd ever been, and so he was kind of taking it all in, and I think pleasantly surprised with it. It seemed like, but
I had to collaborate with him a lot. Nick just put in his first R1 in a long time, and Dan's a co-PI on it.
Nice.
And obviously, I wanted the experience, so I helped out with the writing and random other parts of it.
God, do multi-site stuff get tricky if you're crossing country lines? I don't know if I know anyone that's ever done that.
Yeah, so apparently I didn't know this either. I figured NIH, US. Canadians can be a PI
on like a
NIH, like an NIH.
Oh, okay.
There are certain, like, I think the K denomination, like early training awards.
Yeah,
I don't think they can, but like the competitive R, I think even the F postdocs, they might be able to. But yeah, and I think
I'm actually a mentor for someone who got a K award. I couldn't get it when I was applying, but apparently I could be a mentor on it.
Well, we might have to talk about if we can do like an F32.
Be up for that. I'm on, because one of the other UWL faculty, he submitted R32 or R13, whichever one of those ones that makes 21. Sense. No, it had a 3 in it. I can't remember, but he's been working on a couple resubmissions for it, but I don't think he'll still be at his current place by the time he lands that one.
Oh shit, it's my turn, I guess. Damn it. Training recently, this is the stark reality of sometimes you have to prioritize things that you would rather not. And certainly there are people who do much better. What comes to mind is one of my really good friends, Max Deitz. He's finishing up his PhD in our lab, and he completely prioritizes both being active at work and being active in the gym. But he is one of the craziest men I've ever met in my life. He's insane. I unfortunately didn't do that. So my training has been sporadic at best. At this point, I haven't lifted in over a month. And unfortunately, that's kind of the reality of having to push through life tragedy, doctoral education, managing a social life, all this stuff. And it doesn't mean it's forever. So one of the things we talked about off air is plans to get back. I really hope so. I'm currently going to take a breath because I've been in my PhD for 5.5 years, 2 years master's, 5 years undergrad. This is the first time I haven't been a student basically since I started pre-K. So I'm going to catch a breath, commit to this pharmaceutical company, try to make an impact the best I can so I can get renewed. And then, yeah, my plan is to get back to probably not powerlifting. I don't know if either of you have been watching what our good friend Cooper Wage has been doing.
Yeah, he's making quite the changes.
Yeah, so Cooper, for anyone, the three of you that are maybe hear this, was my old training partner. He was the strongest person I've ever lifted with in the gym.
Still one of our better performing clinically pressed episodes.
Yeah.
2 fat guys and 2 jack guys.
Sweating in iron physique.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Back in that
on the deadlift platform.
Yeah, yep. Back in that it's changed since we did that episode quite a bit back in there.
I haven't been back in years, but Cooper was my old training partner. He was damn near an 1,100-pound squatter. He benched 600 raw. He's a strong dude and insane in the gym. Like AMRAP 550 back squat raw for 30, like insane. But he had some trouble with a certain federation in powerlifting, got really kind of disenfranchised, as I did as well. Made a change, but then got hurt. Now he's just lifting for general health, and he has dropped a bunch of weight. He is the most jacked, like 340-pound dude I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, weight's coming off real well. He's looking good.
And he's not only that, he's super happy. He's super successful in his career. So if I get back into it, there's a pretty good chance. I mean, my knees aren't gonna, maybe, but probably not. I still don't have a PCL. I still have no menisci. I'll probably just lift to be strong, and that's going to be a really hard road to deal with. I used to squat 827, and now I'm squatting whatever 5 something for reps. But I think it's super important, given I'm a kind of a skeletal muscle metabolism researcher, to do what you preach. But it just wasn't in the cards. It could have been. I'm not going to lie. I prioritized other things over it, which probably not the best health measure, but sanity wise, it's what it took to get me through. So yeah, I plan on getting back in. It's a hard road, and it's only embarrassing to me because nobody else knows my past, but I do. It's kind of hard to fight yourself. That actually, because we always talk about books, believe it or not, I read a book actually suggested by our friend Cooper Wage, The Untethered Soul.
Who is that again?
Michael Singer.
Okay, I've heard of it. I have not read it, but
Joel, you're gonna love this book.
Yep, I feel like it's on the list somewhere.
So Cooper says this changed his life, and it changed mine as well. It's all about kind of realizing your internal paradigm is awful and you don't have to listen to it. Like the shitty thoughts in your head, they're not real. Basically, your internal person is an asshole. Don't listen to him because it's fake. You control what happens in the external world. All the things you worry about almost never happen, but they affect how you react and how you participate in your world in mostly a negative way. So it's a really nice book, really thoughtful, real easy to read, and Cooper recommended it. And it's been super impactful for me. And it's the first book I've read since like 5th grade, aside from a textbook.
I was gonna say, I'm sure you've done plenty of reading, just other things.
Yeah, so that's my update on training. Not
short and sweet.
To your point, I keep going back and forth on this, sort of in my head, but not so much of like just squatting. Like I'm enjoying it; it's going well. But at what point at 38 is squatting super heavy or just continuing to increase the weight as I don't remember if this is I'm recording now or not. But you know, I have a really bad habit of I work out, put on some good weight, whatever reason I stop for a while, my weight doesn't drop, I start up again, I add 10 pounds. But it's about how it's been going. So as we were talking about, I've been walking around at like 285, and we had a scale at work that I really hope it is actually broken. If the new one that shows up next week comes and it's not, we've got other issues. But pressing that 3 bills and just like at what point is strong enough, or like if you can keep going and you feel good and things aren't breaking, do you just keep going? And that's one I've been throwing around in my head of like, it's fun to keep it going up. Like, I don't know what I would do alternatively, but
My issue is
I'm not actively competing for anything. Like I'm not trying to get into anything.
My issue with the garage gym was I run out of weight, so that's where I got to get creative and do like more single leg stuff because it's like, well, the dumbbells only go up to 60 or whatever. So I guess I'm trying to figure out another way to make that exercise harder.
Well, I was going to offer, but it's like the most ridiculous thing. So I sold off a bunch of, being in a little bit of financial issue, I sold off a bunch of my lifting equipment.
Sure.
And the one thing, oddly enough, I can't sell is my 50 kilo plates.
Are they bumper plates?
No, calibrated metal 50 kilo plates.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's the bumpers that I need.
I sold my octagonal plates, the bar. I have the squat rack, a platform, a jump box, and 50 kilo plates.
People always still ask me, like, why the heck do you have a TCU platform in your garage? I'm like, that's a long
we don't
story.
talk about that one.
I've been rocking my TCU hat, which I discovered in my garage as I was doing some work the other day. So I've been wearing that one around.
Gotta support the Horned Frogs.
It's the dumbest symbol. I hate it, but
Aggies just had the thumbs up. That wasn't exactly genius either.
Oh my God. Did you guys watch? I mean, I guess you guys are both dads, so I don't know if you have the time, but did you guys watch football yesterday? Specifically OU versus Bama?
I didn't watch that.
I watched enough to see what the final score was, and I loved every minute of it.
24-3 OU.
Yeah, I did not see that one coming.
It was a piss pounding. Like, it wasn't a last second lucky play. They just piss pounded them.
There was a bunch of
yeah, we won't bring up the one that we're all thinking about, but
all of college football is such a mess, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, that committee's going to have a hell of a time here in a couple of weeks trying to make.
The only thing that would have made yesterday better is if Indiana had knocked off Ohio State. That would have made it the most epic weekend of college football ever.
If
I would have text
or Jason Stone sees this, I wish that would have happened.
Yeah, it will be interesting because even with Oregon being number one, it's still so wide open.
Dude, that's the most frustrating part. A Wisconsin team that takes the number one team, a deserving, in my opinion, number one team in the nation to a 1-point final, gets piss pounded by 4-0.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin should have won that game last weekend too. Like they actually blew it. Like it was in their hands.
I would argue even if Braden Locke didn't throw that interception at Penn State before half.
Yes.
We probably would have won that game.
Right.
I don't think Penn State's the number 4 team in the country, but they haven't lost, so it's hard to argue with it.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know that they should be
the worst team in the country, by far, almost beat Penn State, and that's the University of Illinois.
Hey, they were rolling earlier in the year.
Pains me to see them succeed like they are.
Oh, me too.
Oh.
Well, it's the same thing like Notre Dame, like I guess they should be there because they've only lost once, but they're going to get blown out as soon as
get a conference. It's 2024. Yeah. I don't know why you would. You get all the TV benefits without having
losses to Northern Illinois. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know they lost to Northern Illinois. Did they really?
That was their one loss. Yeah. They had like a big win, or like I can't remember. Did they beat like Florida State or it was LSU?
Well, A&M was their big win early in the year. They went down.
Is that what it was?
Okay. Isn't Northern Illinois a D3 school?
No, they're technically Division I, but not by much. Right.
What's the other one?
There's a Northern
knocked out of the playoffs on last year or 2 years ago.
That knocked who out of the playoffs?
Lacrosse.
North Central.
Okay.
And I think that's Ohio. Is that Illinois too, or is that Ohio?
I thought that was Iowa.
No, that's Central. Central is in Iowa.
Oh, well, there we go then.
Pulling it up like Jamie from.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
2022 was Wartburg. It must be 21 because they won the national championship that year.
Yeah, they've been good for
North Central College, Illinois.
North Central College.
It is Illinois. Huh?
That same UWL wrestling coach was the head coach there, and then came back to UWL.
Malachek?
No, Zach Cook.
Oh, this is so weird. There's a kid from my high school who he played at Whitewater, won a couple national championships with their football team, and then started. I think he's assistant coaching with Whitewater, and his name is Zach Cook.
Oh, nice.
So literally, when you said that, I was like, no way. And I had to pull it up. And I saw our boy Trevor Pruitt is still coaching over there.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, awkward silence.
I think that's a good time to wrap up this third or whatever reboot of Barbells and Bourbon.
Don't they call it a requel, where it's like
it's a re-requel.
Yeah.
Re-requel. Cool. We got to get going in because I worked too hard on that intro, which I now need to figure out how to amend that to get AJ into the official host on that, because when it's just Andy and I, but it was too good of an intro not to make this thing get up and go again.
I'm not joking. I would be really into. So I think Joel. I mean, all three of us. If AJ, if you want to be like a recurring part of this, I'd love to sit down off camera, just like even a phone call, and talk about trying to push this. And I'd be willing to take a kind of the heavier load like you have with Clinically Pressed, Joel, or TH.
Yeah.
Or any of the other 50 things that you do. You've been saying.
Well, let's wrap this up and just chat about that real quick offline. So thank you to, as Andy said, the 3 people that might have listened to this. Looking forward to hopefully getting it to be much more, but getting it up in the future and just having it be something that's a little bit more consistent. So, fellas, good to get together finally.
Mm-hmm. Until the next one.
We'll hit stop here, and we'll catch everybody hopefully not in 11 months.